Millette murder trial day 1. Maya has now been missing for 5 years. It is a no-body case, but still jury selection got underway. We'll take you inside the courtroom.
Opening statements started today in a 35-year-old cold case murder. I have more on the new DNA evidence that linked the suspect to the crime.
La Mesa could soon ban children under 12 from riding e-bikes. The proposal dividing parents, riders, and city leaders.
Women veterans gathering for a sisterhood event to write a new story.
A South Bay school district is gaining top honors from the state. What students are doing to lead climate action in this edition of Earth 8.
Today marks the beginning of the Larry Millette murder trial, almost 5.5 years after his wife Maya went missing. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Carlo Cicchetto.
And I'm Anna Laurel. The body of the Chula Vista mother of 3 has never been found. News 8's Jenny Day joins us live from the South Bay Courthouse where jury selection is underway. Jenny?
Yeah, day 1 of this Millette murder trial has been all about selecting a jury. 278 people are being questioned about whether they have already formed an opinion about this case. So it still could be several more days before we even get to opening statements. That might not even happen until 1 week from now, next Monday. Ultimately, 12 jurors will be selected, 6 alternates to serve on this high-profile case. Day 1 of the Millette murder trial has been all about selecting a jury. 278 people are being questioned about whether they have already formed an opinion on this case. So it could still be several more days before opening statements even get underway. Ultimately, 12 jurors and 6 alternates will be selected to serve on this high-profile case. The Millette murder trial, 5 years in the making. 39-year-old Maya Millette disappeared in 2021 and hasn't been seen since. Her husband, Larry, is charged with her murder.
Very critical to pick a jury that can be fair, that can follow the law, that can keep an open mind until the end.
Jury selection is a tedious process. Millette was there in court and even has a say. For the first time, he sat unmasked and in a button-up instead of a jailhouse jumpsuit, as 278 people were questioned one by one about their prior knowledge of this case, if they can remain impartial as they evaluate the evidence.
X amount of people are there in the jury pool, and then you get to remove the people you do not like each side, and who your remains are people that you're both kind of satisfied with.
Prosecutors say Larry's motive stems from an alleged affair. The state says Maya contacted a divorce attorney the day she disappeared. They also claim there are journal entries that describe a history of abuse. Larry has pleaded not guilty.
The jurors that the prosecution will want will be someone that maybe has had their husband be controlling, be hypervigilant, and the defense is going to want someone that's comfortable with hearing about affairs and blaming the wife for having an affair. So both sides want a completely different person, so it'll be a long process.
Our community has been invested in this case, turning out for searches, rallies, and vigils. Maya's sister, Mary Chris, who has custody of their 3 children, tells me it's been long and painful just to finally have the chance to know the truth. Her biggest hope is to bring Maya home. She went on to say she is anxious, scared, and deeply saddened they are facing a criminal trial involving family, but above all, she wants justice. So as for a timeline, again, jury selection is happening now. Opening statements are likely to get underway on Monday, and this trial is expected to last 3 months. So again, no cameras are allowed inside the courtroom, but a sketch artist has been approved, and I, of course, will be inside taking notes. In Chula Vista, Jenny Day, News 8.
All right, Jenny, thank you. You can watch our coverage of the Millette case through the CBS 8 app on your TV. You can stream it right now and anytime for free. Opening statements today in the trial of a man accused of killing a woman in Scripps Ranch more than 35 years ago.
News 8's Alex Cheney was inside the courtroom and joins us live with details. Alex?
Yeah, this one's been a long time coming. So the suspect is 65-year-old Randall Euler. He was originally arrested for this back in 2023, but first stood trial to test his mental competency. The judge said he could stand for trial, and now opening statements began today. In downtown court today, opening statements were delivered in the murder trial of 65-year-old Randall Euler, who is charged with killing Margaret Jackson, whose body was discovered on a hillside off Scripps Ranch Boulevard on July 11th, 1990. The district attorney said Euler is tied to her murder by DNA evidence and incriminating statements he made after his arrest in 2023.
Who killed Margaret Jackson? We'll hear during this trial from the story that her body tells and from his words in that cell.
Euler was already in custody for an alleged probation violation when he was arrested in 2023 on suspicion of murdering Jackson. The DA says while in custody, Euler was placed in a cell with an undercover officer posing as an inmate. And the DA says Euler admitted to dumping her body on the hillside. Evidence in court showed Jackson was severely beaten and strangled, and a rope was wrapped twice around her neck. Euler, who was 29 years old on the day Jackson's body was discovered, was not identified as a suspect until DNA testing conducted decades later linked him to DNA found beneath the victim's fingernails and private areas of her body.
What name did you get back as an investigative lead?
Randall Eugene Euler.
The defense attorney said the case against her client arose from an inadequate police investigation and is reliant on flimsy evidence.
What happens when a tragedy from 30 years ago gets pulled out from the past? When memories have faded, evidence has aged, and assumptions start replacing proof.
Jackson did have family members in the courtroom today. However, they declined to comment. I spoke to the district attorney. He told me that this trial is expected to last perhaps this week, next week, and maybe another week. Euler is facing 25 years to life in prison. Reporting live, I'm Alex Chaney. Back over to you.
Thank you, Alex. This week, La Mesa city leaders are considering a proposal to ban children under 12 from riding certain e-bikes.
Supporters say it's about safety, but News 8's Brian White shares people against it call it government overreach.
Supporters say this rule could help reduce crashes and keep young kids safe. However, opponents say the city is overstepping by telling parents what their kids can ride.
This pilot program prohibits children under the age of 12 from being able to operate a Class 1 and a Class 2 e-bike.
Councilmember Laura Lothian initially voted for the ordinance during its first reading last month, but now says she's changed her mind after hearing from families who use e-bikes to get around town.
We have families who moved here so that they could travel to the village and have breakfast, go to the farmer's market, and they're with their 9 and 10-year-olds on these little e-bikes.
Supporters of the ban say the real concern is safety, pointing to a sharp rise in e-bike injuries across San Diego County. Rady Children's Hospital reports it saw only 3 e-bike injury patients in all of 2021, and last year that number was 262.
These bikes are dangerous, and we want to make sure kids have the proper judgment, the reaction time and reflexes to drive these e-bikes in traffic.
Councilmember Genevieve Suzuki points to recent serious crashes involving young riders, including a 12-year-old boy who suffered life-threatening injuries in an e-bike collision in Carmel Valley earlier this month.
These children then require emergency care, and it could be orthopedic, it could be traumatic brain injury, and we just don't want that.
But opponents say a blanket age ban misses the bigger issue.
I think that a blanket ban is the wrong way to approach the problem.
Jerry Jones is a planning commissioner in La Mesa and an avid e-bike rider. He says e-bikes for kids can be programmed to lower speeds, and that the problem is not underage riders, it's reckless teenagers.
You know, it's wheelies, it's following too close, it's riding the wrong way on the road, things that are against the rules on a regular bike already.
If approved Tuesday night, the pilot program would start with warnings for the first 60 days, followed by a $25 fine. And these rules would remain in effect through January of 2029. In La Mesa, I'm Brian White, News 8.
The wait is almost over for fans of Las Cuatro Milpas.
The iconic San Diego restaurant is reopening tomorrow in a new location. News 8's Steve Price got a sneak peek inside today, joins us live with a preview. Steve.
So Carlo and Anna, while we were here this morning working on our story, a guy stopped by. Now, he knew full well that the restaurant doesn't open until tomorrow, but he said, I came by a day early hoping there'd be a soft opening. I'm that excited to eat the food. Yeah, customers definitely glad Las Cuatro Milpas is back.
And make it tamales.
All the old recipes made with love.
Still has to simmer for a couple of hours.
Las Cuatro Milpas shut down late last year, facing financial issues and an uncertain future. But starting tomorrow, it's back a couple blocks away in the Mercado del Barrio complex, and the old menu came with them.
Nothing new yet. Nothing new yet, but we got a couple of things we were thinking on brewing for later on. But right now, to start, we're coming back with the same menu.
And the same employees who helped make the original restaurant so special.
Thank God everybody wants to come back, so they're coming back. We're going to have the same crew.
There will be some new things like equipment because, well, codes have changed a lot over the last 90 years, and some of the old stuff can no longer be grandfathered in. And yes, that's a point-of-sale system allowing them to accept credit cards. Despite all their hard work to get this place ready for opening day, some things are still a work in progress, like this wall honoring Nadi's grandparents who opened the original restaurant in 1933. The goal is to have this entire wall filled with pictures of customers in the old restaurant. So if you have any pictures from back then, bring them in, and you'll end up here.
They've touched so many lives in all these years, and just to be able to make a wall and honor them, and also honor the people that have been here and supported us for so many years.
If the nonstop phone ringing
Tomorrow morning, okay, cool.
and steady stream of customers asking if they're open yet is any indication, this new location will have the same long lines as the old Las Cuatro Milpas, and that's something no one working here takes for granted.
We feel so happy. We're just really grateful with the community. Everybody's coming together and got all this positive energy and blessings that people are just happy and want us back. And that always touches our heart.
So they are going to have a ribbon cutting ceremony outside here tomorrow at 8 a.m. But I'll tell you, Carlo and Anna, if you want to be among the first customers inside, you're going to have to get here a lot earlier than that. I saw people saying online they plan to start getting here at 6:30. We'll send it back to you in the studio.
Oof.
They need some breakfast burritos.
Maybe, hopefully they'll be nice and be handing out snacks, right?
Yeah.
Those people nice enough to wait. The loyalty is real.
It is.
The San Diego Humane Society remains on scene of a mass animal rescue in Julian.
Yeah, we're going to share how it's been able to reunite some animals with their original owners. That's still ahead. Plus, what some of San Diego's Congress members are saying tonight after they were allowed into the Otay Mesa Detention Center.
And how women who served our country are now serving a new sisterhood.
A little bit of a hazy view looking out from our Mount Soledad camp. Now we are seeing that marine layer rolling right back in, and it's also going to translate to May gray conditions resuming and a slip in temperatures. We'll take a look at your complete forecast coming up.